Breaking update tonight on that hours-long standoff in Grand Forks last week. 32-year-old Colin Posey is now being held without bail.
Posey was in court today on a number of state and federal charges. Officials say he has ties to Spirit Lake Reservation and was wanted by the FBI on that federal warrant for his alleged involvement in drug trafficking. It's believed he was distributing large amounts of fentanyl-laced pills and meth between Minneapolis and the reservation.
Yeah, the standoff happened 1 week ago, last Monday, in the 1900 block of 12th Avenue North. Officers worked to get Posey out of a woman's apartment for 6 hours. They say he was hiding in a couch. Posey was escorted out of the complex in handcuffs and taken to the hospital. He's now in custody in the Grand Forks County Jail.